Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seth and Beth podcast. As always, I'm here with my lovely Beth. Beth, how are you?
Wonderful.
And we are here with the wonderful Jared Gant. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you.
You look stunning as well, my friend, as always. So handsome and
I
regal.
like your checkered shoes.
Thank you.
You are very stylish with your socks and your shoes, everything about you.
You haven't even seen the socks.
Oh, okay. Give it to me straight.
Oh my gosh, it's a sloth.
It's a sloth. It's a sloth.
That's a sloth on the side.
Now, a sloth, Beth, used to be one of my favorite animals. Now
Is it
everyone's on the
changing?
train. Well, everyone's on the train of the sloth is the coolest animal ever.
Are you gonna?
I thought I realized it many decades ago, but
Are you
now
changing
everyone
to
knows
the
it's
Dao
a-
Shou Ma?
I tried to learn Chinese for a couple months, and
How'd that go?
Shima is I think that's a panda, right, Beth?
Well, that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, so we're going with it.
Your favorite animal?
Ooh, favorite animal? Probably a frog. Kind of weird, right? But I
Frog?
grew up in Florida and played with frogs as a kid, so I have fond
Yeah.
memories.
Where at in Florida?
Florida, the Space Coast, just east of Orlando.
Oh, Space Coast, is that what they call it?
Yeah, I like that whole region between Daytona and Cocoa Beach.
Oh, okay, cool.
Space
And then
Coast.
you're located now in St. Louis?
Denver, north of Denver.
Why did I say that? We have so many mutual friends. North of Denver, that's right. Beth, we were just there. We flew through there. Tell me about your history as a wedding photographer. I want to know, because I don't even know if I've heard it all before. Like, how'd you start? How long you been doing it? How many weddings? Tell me everything. Let me move this a little closer so I can hear you.
Yeah. So, I never in my entire life thought this would be the direction I would go, ever.
We hear that a lot. Don't we say that, Beth?
What did you think you were doing?
So, in high school, I expressed, I guess, my artistic self through music. So music was a big part of my life all through high school. Played in a handful of different bands and traveled.
rock
and toured.
bands?
Yeah, it was a big thing. That was so cool.
What'd you do?
Cool.
Bass?
Man,
Was.
my
What instrument?
glory days. Let me just bask in this for a moment. Okay. No, it was good. I sang. I love to sing, and I played guitar. Yeah.
Can
Wow.
you sing right now? Like,
No, I said was.
oh, you were cool.
Yeah,
Was a
now
singer.
I'm an old man. Got my dad
I
bod
feel
going
ya.
on.
So let me think about this. What kind of music did you play? Like how heavy rock?
Yeah, I mean, it varied early on, fairly heavy, kind of like screamo, like good, cool rock music.
I want to hear this.
As time progressed and as I matured into the man that I am now, it kind of toned its way back, and that's actually where we had the most successes when we toned it
like
back a little bit.
screamo, like,
I mean, to some degree, it wasn't like that, but more like I say screamo because like screaming emo. Like my mom hates me, so I'm gonna scream about it.
I always thought you kind of looked like the lead singer of Disturbed. You've gotten that before, right?
No, actually, I haven't. But it just must be the bald head, right?
No, he's got a little soul patch
that's
too,
right,
and the
that's right.
earrings. I mean, very
Yeah.
sexy, of course, like yourself. But so how'd you get into photography?
Yeah. So then after high school, did actually some missionary service for a couple of years, and kind of shifted my whole kind of life.
Tell me about it. Where at?
I served all over. I served a fair amount of time down in South America, down in Chile, and spent a teeny bit of time in Peru, and learned Spanish while I was down there. So I speak fluent Spanish, which
Listen to
is
this,
kind of
Beth.
crazy,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And then
Buenos dias.
Yeah, buenos dias.
Did you go to Machu Picchu?
No, I didn't. It's so unfortunate. Like when you're doing these missionary service projects and things like that, it's not vacation, right? It's work in a sense. And so it's like, oh, there's all these touristy things I wish I could do. And unfortunately, we did very little of those.
Okay.
But, and then I spent a fair amount of time in California as well as a Spanish speaker, helping the Spanish community down there, which was really cool. So they're in LA, just north of LA, essentially. Spent some
I
time there
had
as
no
well.
clue about all this.
Yeah, right?
Okay, keep
Who'd
going.
have ever known? And then afterwards came home, went through college, slammed out. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have done that. Hope
You're
it doesn't
good,
throw off
you're
your
great.
clap.
No, you're good.
Slammed out my degree super quick. I don't enjoy schooling, and so I just said, getting through this as absolutely quickly as I can because I'm terrified if I don't go quickly, I'm not going to finish. Basically, it's kind of my mindset. So. I did an international business degree because all of that language that I had just spent a couple of years learning immediately went towards the degree. I was able to test out of a full year of Spanish classes immediately, and then that applied towards my major. So I was able to do my bachelor in 2.5 years.
So in
is
an
crazy.
international business degree, like what courses or what do you take that separates it from like a normal business degree?
Yeah, it's actually not all that different until the very end. And then at the very end, all of your business classes are in Spanish. So no longer are you sitting in an English lecture, you're sitting in a Spanish lecture. Like everything was in that language since that was part of the emphasis. And then you start talking about trade. You start talking about the climate, or the economical environment down in South America and how that influences our environment here.
You have to pick an environment in which you would be doing this business?
So my capstone, totally random, but my capstone is I created a toothpaste company in Peru.
Wow.
Kind of random, right? But
Good
that's
for you.
totally what I did. No, it was kind of stupid.
You do have nice teeth.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But in that process of going through college, I started motorcycling. Really enjoyed the motorcycle community.
You owned motorcycles too?
Yes, and ended up making my way through kind of the rankings, so to speak, of a fairly large community. We had about 7,500 like active paid members in this community. We hosted rallies all over the country. Hosted 6 or 7 rallies every year, and over about a 2-year period, I made my way up and became the president of the whole entire association, which was kind of incredible.
Yeah.
And thought that was where my life was going to go, where career was going to go, was actually in the motorcycle community. I was working as a liaison for Kawasaki, and they would fly me out to go test new bikes and
Wow.
those type of things. They called me. I represented the riders of Kawasaki Rock. That was
cool.
what I was. And so when they had a new motorcycle, they would do a press release where they'd fly in people from different magazines and news agencies to come see the bike for the very first time. And then there would be me, which was incredibly fun.
Yeah.
But that was an amazing time in my life. Motorcycled all 49 states during that time period, all over the country, and hosted, like I said, every other year we hosted a national rally where we'd pick a very cool destination spot, and people would come in mostly from the U.S., but some would fly from, or would actually ship their bikes in from overseas and then motorcycle in the U.S. to come to these rallies.
Wow.
And we'd have sponsors come in and everything. Anyways, getting to how this led to photography.
Yeah.
In that process, I was writing quite a bit, or doing a lot of articles for their magazine. And at the time, I was just taking horrible photos with my cell phone. And this is 10 years ago, where cell phones wouldn't even take good photos.
Like at all.
But I'd never, although I had done a few photography classes in high school, I'd never ever considered that as a career path or anything. It was just, I don't know, it just never even entered my mind in the slightest. And in the process of trying to create nice images for these articles that I was focusing on and working on, I said, hey, I need to get a nice camera, right? That's what you do. If you want a nice photo, you get a nice camera.
That's right.
And so that's what I bought my very first camera, and it was purely for these events, to take photos of these events, to write these articles and everything. But within a very short amount of time, I was hooked. I was the artistic element of it just pulled me in, and I was just drawn to just creating really artistic, beautiful photos as best as I could. And that whole motorcycle gig ended up fading out. The line of bikes that our whole organization was focused around ended. Kawasaki quit developing those bikes, and so the community kind of phased out over time. It still exists, but it's not prevalent because all the bikes are 10-year-old bikes. They're not new people buying those bikes any longer. So the community kind of phased out. And as my wife and I started having children, our family started growing, we kind of made a mutual decision that maybe we should step away from the motorcycle for a little while.
When did you meet your wife in this time?
Oh, my wife and I are high school sweethearts. I met my wife in 7th grade doing a play.
Oh.
Yeah.
I met my husband in 7th grade too.
Yeah. It's a good way to
When did you start dating?
Our junior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like she knew you during the rock band
All
era.
of that. She was a hardcore rocker too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You ready to brace yourself for something?
Yeah.
I had longer hair than her.
Just stop it.
Listen, I've known you for 2 years
Stop
now,
it.
and I don't know any of this. This is so eye-opening.
Well, what happens when you went to South America? Where was she?
Yeah, she was incredibly dedicated girlfriend. She wrote me every single week.
Oh my god.
The entire 2 years. I have a massive binder of letters that we wrote back and forth.
So great.
Yeah.
That's
This
so
is love,
great.
Beth.
It was amazing.
I know it.
We came home and we got married in 8 weeks. As
Yeah.
soon as I came home from my missionary service.
Hell yeah. You're like, it's time to get married. We
Yeah.
just want to
Wow.
be together.
Yes.
So how long you been married? What year did you get married?
We got married February of 2007, so 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have the same similar life paths. I've never done the mission work you've done, but I love rock and roll and motorcycles as well. I went through some stages, right, Bethy?
I met Seth when he was in a band in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then we had some bikes when we didn't have kids, and we started having kids, and I was like seeing wrecks and people driving down the road on their phone doing 80, and I was like,
we saw a really bad wreck. We were on a
Right in front of
motorcycle,
us.
and another motorcycle was passing and got blasted.
It's such an amazing motorcycling is such an amazing experience, but it is absolutely dangerous. I mean, there's no way around it. It is a dangerous thing. And
One of our best friends called me. Like he was our roommate at the time, and it was probably 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, why is he calling me? And I like answered. I was like, yeah, and he was like, I'm laying in the road. I was just hit. I was on my motorcycle. I'm okay, but I need you to call 911 and send Seth to come get me. And I was like,
did you tell him that would have been easier than calling me?
okay.
I don't know why that happened, but
Yeah.
did you have any close calls on the bike?
I personally, I had a few, yeah, absolutely. But I never had any accidents.
Thank
Never dropped the
goodness.
bike or anything like that. I was very fortunate, but
In all of your riding, 49 states, I mean, that's pretty good.
It is fortunate. Yeah, I definitely had a few close calls that were terrifying that, left a little, had to change my bridge.
Was there something like weird? Like I know, like once there was like a pop bottle.
No, like one time in Utah, I was going through one of the more dangerous canyons in there, and I was trying to pass a semi truck that was struggling to go up the grade in the canyon, and I passed it. And as I was coming back, it was one of those roads that had the rumble strips in the middle. And I just accelerated, went from probably 65 to 90 to pass them or something like that. And as I came across the rumble strips, my handlebars went into
A wiggle?
a wobble, and it went into a tank slapper. And I had just barely gotten right from this semi, and I'm going 90 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh!
And I had an intercom on. I was chatting with a buddy. We're riding together, and I'm like, oh my fuck, I'm gonna die. I thought like this is the end.
And your friend heard that.
Oh yeah,
in the
and
intercom?
he heard it, and I couldn't breathe anymore. And then my handlebars straightened back out, and just kept going. But it was absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
Like so terrifying.
Seth, I don't know if like you got anywhere that close. I remember just once there was like a pop bottle in the road.
I pulled up. There was a yellow light going to red, which they always do. That
Sure,
was stupid
sure.
to say, but I stopped instead of plowing through it, and unbeknownst to me, behind me, all I hear is the squealing of brakes that the guy behind me was locking up.
Oh sure.
And I turn around and look, and he's basically he ended up beside me, not behind me, in a tight city. And so, you don't even really think. You're like, what was that sound? Oh wait, I could have just been killed. Yeah, we got off the bike, especially like I said when we had the kids. So how old are your kids?
9 and 4.
Oh, we have 9 and 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So wow, we're the
Same,
same. We're the same people.
We're pretty much soulmates. That's what this means. Hello.
When did you shoot your first wedding?
So I shot my first wedding. So I started assisting as a second shooter with a couple photographers in, let's see here, probably 09.
Okay.
Yeah, right around there. 09, 2010, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Still had a full-time day job. I still had a lot of things going. Again, still never had thought of it as a career that I could support my family on and make a living off of. Just thought of it as a hobby, essentially. And did that for about 1 year and worked with 2 or 3 amazing photographers that greatly influenced me. Actually ran into one here. He hasn't been to the expo in years and just happened to run into him. And we're not friends, but we don't get to see each other anymore.
Yeah.
We've moved apart and things like that. So it was really nice to see him, share with him how he's inspired me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that for about a year, and then my wife took an internship in Denver in 2011, I believe, 2011 or 2012, 2011, I believe it was. And that required me to take a leave. Either we were going to be apart for the summer or take a leave of absence from my work, and they gave me a leave of absence for the summer. And so I went to Denver to be with her, and our daughter was 1 or 2 at the time, very little. And so I was a stay-at-home dad that summer with her and just got to spend all that time with her.
My gosh.
And started shooting. I started throwing myself up on Facebook to shoot on my own that summer, and just was hooked. The experience of being home, having autonomy over my life. I feel, being able to be with my daughter when I wanted to be able to work whenever I wanted to, those type of things just absolutely hooked me. And then the artistic element of photography is incredibly appealing to me. Like it's difficult for me to find artistic outlets, and that became my artistic outlet, my place to go.
Oh, right. Because you had you were an artsy guy.
Sure.
And so now here's your place.
Yeah. So fell in love. After that internship ended, we went back. She still had 1 more year of grad school, my wife, and
What's her name?
Bryn.
Bryn. Oh, pretty name.
And so went back to my job, continued to work that for about 5 months. And then the next summer, or I guess it was about 8 months. Then the next summer, we decided immediately, after we went to Denver for the internship, we decided this is going to be home. We fell in love with Denver as well. And afterwards went back and started making changes in our life to be able to move as soon as she graduated. So a few days after she graduated, we sold our house. We dumped all of everything that we had no job prospects, had literally nothing, had a U-Haul and a car, and went to Colorado and started a new life.
Wow.
And again, had no job. My wife's an attorney. She hadn't taken the bar exam, but we had to choose the state that she was going to take it in. So we had to go there for her to get licensed and start practicing. I quit my job and came to Colorado. This was 2012. And that was, I think, kind of the official beginning of my photography career, because from that point on, I never took another job. I pursued photography forever from that point on. Yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
You have we're obviously a lot of photographers are in some private communities and groups, and we're in a group together, which we both are very dear fans of, and you've taken a leadership role. One of our other mutual friends, who's a great leader, Ashley Fisher from St. Louis, who we were just talking about, Beth. But now it's hitting me now that it seems I'm now not surprised hearing about your leadership roles in the past. Like why are you drawn?
You're like a natural leader.
Yeah, I was like, how are you drawn to getting to the top? But again, not in an arrogant way. Like I definitely know people that have to get to the top, Bethy, to be a boastful, arrogant position. But like you're so drawn to I'm going to take the reins of this and lead. A lot of people can't do that. Where did this come from, you think?
Good question. That's a really good question. I don't know, but it is. I think you are accurate. I have. In several stages of my life, I have somehow gotten into a position of leadership. Whether that was, again, in high school with the music, I felt like that we excelled very well. Is this cutting out for you guys a little bit, or just?
I think if you go back a smidge and you're,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you kind of, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
No. I mean, you have to stay close.
Stay close.
Yeah,
there
a
we
little
go.
bit. There you go. But we were talking about leadership.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm drawn to constantly stepping into bigger shoes than my own. I feel like that's a big way for me to grow personally, is trying on kind of new shoes that I feel like are too big for me, or just big roles that kind of stretches me to another place each time I've done it.
This takes like a confidence level.
Ooh,
where does that? So everything you're saying to me,
I don't know if it does. I don't know. I certainly.
Really?
Well,
I mean,
every single time. There's always self-doubt there. Every single time.
Yeah, I mean, the choices you're making where you're going overseas with a relationship, you're moving to new towns. There has to be some sort of confidence level that I would assume I'm pretty envious of.
We're gonna kill it no matter where we are.
Like everybody, I'm sure, struggles with that, but it seems like time after time you've plowed through that. Where does that come from, you think?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I matured very early. I was raised by a single mom. And so I was kind of latchkey. And I grew up, my alarm waking up in the morning was my mom saying goodbye to me as she went to work.
Oh,
and
wow.
I came home to an empty home. And so I matured very early, right? That
you
that
had
may
to
be a
do
big,
shit for yourself.
Exactly. And
you had to get yourself up, get yourself breakfast,
Yes.
get yourself your book bag, get on
Very
the
much
bus
so.
by
Yep.
yourself.
Very much so. And I was also emancipated early. I became a legal adult as a junior in high school. I was emancipated and moved out and started my life while I was still in high school. Yeah. So life was tough at that time, and I think, but I think I matured, maybe not in a good way. A lot of my childhood was probably missed out on, I would imagine. But yeah, that may contribute to it as well.
So what kind of childhood are you providing for your kids? Because I know you're a hell of a dad and you bring them up all the time. Tell us a little about who they are and what you love about them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so 2 kiddos, Evelyn and Peter. Mentioned they're 9 and 4. They are both incredible children, incredibly amazing kids. We try to be very structured in our life, and you'll see that in my business as well. Like that structure plays a big part in a lot of my life.
What do you do that you're like, you and Brent have decided to have structure with?
Structure. It's really probably, I hope it's not too structured at times. But no, our morning routines are like to a T. Our evening routines are very much the same. Like we like simple things like putting our kids to bed and reading to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't. We've done it for 9 years straight. We've never not done that. You know what I mean? It's never been like go to bed. It's we have a routine at night where we put our kids to bed. We read to them. We have this whole nice ending to the day, and same in the morning as well. We have a very specific routine and those type of things. We try to have family meals regularly.
Yeah.
Regularly. It doesn't, sometimes family meals means grabbing something on the way home and sitting at the table. Sometimes it means we get to make a meal. You know, we both are busy. My wife runs her own business as well, so we're both business owners.
Yeah.
So it can be tough at times to do that, but we definitely strive to have that quality time. When we're home, we try to be home as best as we can.
What do clients love about your wedding photos that really made you stand out?
Good question. The photos themselves,
or the experience, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely twofold. I feel like initially the photos themselves were unique because the moment that I started shooting, lighting was always a big element to my photography. Over the last decade or so, I feel like lighting has become more and more prevalent as it's become more affordable and easier and more attainable. So my work, I think, has a bit more momentum than other people because I've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
So that helps. But my styling is typically grand environmental portraits. I live in Colorado with beautiful mountains, beautiful scenery. Most of my clients, probably about 70%, are out of state, coming to Colorado to be in that environment.
Oh.
And so we definitely want to cater to that, document that, and make sure that the mountains and those type of things are included. So I'm probably most well known for these mountaintop epic environmental portraits. And I do a few unique things with my couples where I will take them to the mountains. We offer a pre-wedding photo shoot with our clients. I think I may have chatted with you about this before, but you know, oftentimes brides a couple weeks before their wedding will do a practice hair and makeup run where they're just figuring out exactly how they want everything to look. Mm-hmm. And I always encourage my brides, hey, on this day, let's do your final dress fitting and make sure there's no alterations that need to be made. And since you're done up and beautiful, let's take advantage of that and go for a shoot. And let's go somewhere that we might not be able to on your wedding day. Like, you know, your wedding might be out in the Front Range, out in the city area. Let's drive an hour and a half into the mountains, which would be very difficult to do on the wedding day.
Yeah.
And my clients absolutely love that, you know, because that's really what they want, are these really cool photos, but they're difficult to have on the wedding day. And so we do that quite a bit where we'll actually do a first look with the couple about 2 weeks prior to the wedding, where they get to have that first look experience at the optimal time. If they want sunset, we can do it at sunset. If they want it at 14,000 feet at the very top of the mountain, we can do it at 14,000 feet at the top of the mountain. We can cater to it however you want. And we try to do it in far enough advance that we can choose a few photos to have prepped and ready that they can order and have prints on display for their actual wedding. So you'll walk in with a beautiful canvas or a beautiful piece there available.
Have you heard of anything like this, Beth?
No.
I can't.
No, I never, ever.
I mean, it's the same concept that a lot of people offer as like day after sessions, right?
Those are hard.
Those are very hard because typically that, for me, that's also typically the day after is a very valuable day because it's another weekend. And I, it's not uncommon for me to shoot multiple weddings in the same weekend. So volunteering to shoot a tour, shoot with them the next morning or something means I likely can't take a wedding that next day. So it's a big investment. But whereas this pre-shoot, we can plan it on a Tuesday if we want.
Absolutely.
We can do it whenever we want. And it becomes a very intimate moment for the two of them. And the locations that I take them to, I try to find locations that they can return to. So if they have we take them to this mountaintop where they have this first look moment. And I hope that, for their anniversary, they come back or they bring their children there sometime and they talk about that moment that they had together.
Wow.
I'm blown away by this because I've never heard anyone doing this. And
I believe they call that hella dope.
Hella dope, Beth?
I believe that's what that's called.
Well, you are a linguistic specialist.
You know me.
Y'all know me.
Y'all know me.
So how many weddings do you shoot a year?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it back a little bit. I feel like
as the kids get older,
and as I get a little bit more tired.
Yeah.
I feel like initially I was just literally trying to do as much as I could fit in my schedule. And I get sometimes this fear, this FOMO that, if I don't take this one, I'm going to lose out on the money or whatever it might be, that the end result's going to be negative. And I've learned over time that there are clients that are not good fits. and it's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a difficult lesson to learn.
Takes a long time to learn too.
Takes some time to learn. Yeah. So, our top year we did over 50, or I did over 50. I say we. I have a handful of amazing second shooters and that have associate shot for me as well. But they're, so I say we because I feel like they've been part of that because they're going to all of those weddings typically with me. But so busiest year we shot over 50. I think it was 56 is what we did the busiest year, with me leading the vast majority of those. I think there was about 3 that we subbed out, but everything else I handled. Ideally, I'd like to shoot about 35. It's kind of a sweet spot for me. And I know that's still a lot for a lot of people. I know for a lot of people that's a big number. I have no shortage of leads, and so now it's just curating and finding the right couples for me. And so that right around that 30 to 40-ish range is where I hope to land. But I'm also making a few adjustments on my site. In the last 2 years I've shot about a dozen Indian weddings, cultural weddings, and really enjoy them. And they fit my aesthetic very well. I like the hustle and bustle of the day, being fairly photojournalistic. There's so much going on. There's never a dull moment.
Right.
And so I really, really enjoy them. So I'm in the process of building up aspects of my website that cater specifically to cultural weddings. I'm building out about 30 pages that cater to all the different aspects of the different ceremonies. I want when people Google Denver Sangeet, I want me to come up when people, all these different elements of the day, barats and all these. I want to be the person that shows up. So I'm building that out. And so I would imagine, because these weddings typically are multi-day weddings, that if I can get into that niche a little bit more, that I'll tone it down to about 15 to 20 weddings, because most of those for me are about 2 to 3 days to do those cultural weddings.
Beth, we probably need to do that because we've had some success with Indian weddings, and
I know that's a really good idea. Like if somebody did Google,
Sangeets in Northeast Ohio, we've have plenty
or
of
even
pictures.
in Central Ohio.
I'll throw a little shout out to one of our mutual friends. Lynn Jersey's website is a massive resource for cultural weddings.
He pops up when you just search Indian weddings.
Anywhere in the world, his stuff will pop up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are we having Pie on today?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having Pie on later as well.
So for me, the information is super thorough on their sites, and it's been very inspirational.
So you work with SLR Lounge. Beth, will you just pronounce that for me?
SLR Lounge.
We
had Jason Vincent on.
Yes.
And I, for some reason, I cannot not say DSLR, but SLR Lounge. You work with them, and tell us what you do with them.
Yeah, so SLR Lounge has 4 large communities. Their education is broken into 4 categories, essentially. So they have their editing portion, which caters specifically to their presets and how to use their editing tools. Then we have the wedding, and Pi manages that community. Then we have the wedding community, which is what Jason manages, and again, catering to all different things, weddings.
Oh, wait, you said wedding twice. Pi does what?
Pi does the editing.
Oh, editing.
Lightroom.
You got it.
Jason does weddings. They have a lighting group, which Trevor Daly manages, and then they have a business community, which I manage.
Oh, so it's all getting clear to me now.
So, what would you do in the business community?
Yeah, so in the business community, we're focusing on everything from marketing to building your website to how to create funnels, how to network with your vendors. Like the business education they have 4 big sections to it, and there's hours and hours and hours of content. And so that community is where that content is essentially discussed.
What kind of content is it? Like in what format?
So on SLR Lounge's website, Pi has created these amazing videos that is essentially 12 weeks to prepare to launch your business, everything that you need to do. And he's incredibly transparent, which is rare. Like so transparent that they're showing you like, this is Lynn Jersey's work. This is when we started. This is how we did things. This is our actual financials and things of that sort. So, but everything that's not the artistic element of photography is typically being discussed.
That's there. Your background. So that's great.
Yeah, it works out really well. I love it. I'm sure that's why I was put in that position. It's a good fit. And we have a handful of ambassadors that support that community as well. So each one of those communities has 5 to 10 ambassadors as well that helps manage that community.
Anybody we know?
There's a handful in my community. We have Charmy Pena, we have Jake Osario, we have a handful. Yeah,
nice.
All the badass photographers.
Yeah, all the rad, awesome people.
Yeah.
Dave Moss. Yeah.
You know, I usually take the leadership role on the podcast, but you have been blowing my mind with all this.
What are you thinking?
Well, just,
Sorry about that.
I get very envious. I get envious when I see people working as hard as this. And then I reflect back as like, am I working as hard as like this sounds freaking amazing. Everything you're into. I know with a lot of hard work, you can be sacrificing time with family and happiness.
Absolutely.
So of course, Beth, he's elaborated on how well he's handling that as well with his.
You know, like I learned this phrase, systems in place. You have
Right.
to have your systems in place. And it sounds like you and Bryn work really hard to make sure you have your systems in place so you can manage all the different parts of life.
Right. We mentioned systems earlier, and that's actually the panel that we did yesterday. That's what we discussed. It was all on systems and automations, and how the title of the class was "Clone Yourself, Get More Done" last time. So that's a big element of how I run my business. A huge portion of it is, I've probably 50 automations built into my client's experience.
What does that mean though? Oh, like how we use Sprout
Automated
Studios?
emails.
Like
yeah, right?
automated emails would be an example, a really good example. But it's a very in-depth. These like choose your own adventure books.
Yeah.
It's like that in a sense where it took out like weeks to create this, but essentially I have a client funnel that goes in all different directions. If a client inquires, they get this response. Based off of their response, they go a different direction. If they don't respond, they get a follow-up. And the vast majority of these have been organized in such a way that they can be done through automation, but they don't sound robotic. So when a
That's
client
the
inquires,
hardest
it
thing I
is
have.
tough. And I know that's a big fear for a lot of people is, it sounds like just such a generic email.
Just as you say this, it's like we have questionnaires that we send out where we want to learn more about their families.
Right.
But every once in a while, they might just call us.
Sure.
And then I ask about their families. And then I'll just send out the questionnaire by myself. And then next thing you know, they get a duplicate email. We look like idiots.
Sure.
I feel dumb. And so we have not even expanded on automation.
Yeah. I sometime we'll have to do a video chat, and I'll show you a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, of all the automations, and it will likely blow your mind. It's pretty intense. Dan Dalstra and I had a call the other day, and he was like, it was a great call.
He's a doll.
He's awesome, isn't he?
He's great.
But yeah, it works out really well, and it does take time and consideration to structure these emails and things in such a way where they do not sound robotic.
Yeah.
But a lot of I use TAVA as my client management software, and I'd assume most can do this.
What's it called? Toppy?
TAVE. TAVE. TAVE, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
TAVA. Yeah, they're here. You should guys go check them out. They're pretty stellar. But essentially, my intake questionnaire gathers enough information from the client, like their names, their location of their wedding, their date, those type of things, that then when I'm able to respond, my emails are able to have what they call tokens built into the email that references those elements. So I can say, hey, Seth and Beth. It's not just say, hey,
Right.
hey, you, whatever, references their venue. So yeah, we have shot at this location. We are available on this particular date, et cetera. And it's going to specifically mention these elements.
These are all automated?
Yeah, this is all automated. I couldn't do what I do without building this out. And again, we're talking probably 120 hours of initial investment to make this happen, like a couple of weeks of just really sitting down and considering it and fine tuning it. And I'm still routinely, if I hit a cog, something isn't quite right,
Yeah.
I can tweak it. I'm constantly doing that. I have an ongoing document that it's just constantly being updated whenever I run into a problem. But essentially the way I thought of it is, if I don't have a secretary, but if I had a full-time secretary, what would I outsource to her? There's certain elements of my business.
Or him,
excuse me, him or her.
I'm getting caught with this.
No,
Jared,
I'm so
lately.
thankful.
I'm getting caught with this lately.
I
I
meant-
gotta get my hims and hers down, but keep going. I didn't.
Thank you.
That was so.
I appreciate it. Thanks for drawing attention to me being an asshole.
That was more of an inside Seth and Beth thing right there.
I got called. Listen, I am
We
terrible at this.
don't
and
have to-
I got called
What
out.
would I
and
outsource
so-
to that wonderful person?
You
Thank
know,
you.
yeah. Sorry,
It's-
keep going.
You're good.
Keep going.
And so essentially, there's certain elements, of course, of my brand that need that personal touch, that need that call, that need that visit or whatever. But there are a lot of things that don't require that level of finesse. And so when I broke down my client experience, I essentially sat down and said, what would be the absolute perfect client experience that I could give my client? What would that look like? And I wrote that down in as detailed as I could. And then I looked at that and said, what aspect of that truly requires me to do? What aspect of that could be done by this wonderful secretary?
Assistant.
And then when I discovered automation and really dove into it, I realized the vast majority of that could be done by this automation. And
I have a hard time believing it.
So let me give you an example. There's a common example that every photographer can relate to. I think a lead comes in. Okay, my process when a lead comes in is automatically it drafts up an email response. It doesn't send it because I like to read the initial inquiry to make sure that there's nothing specific and unique and special about their wedding. But I have it saved as a draft. It's loaded, prepped, written, ready to go. Then when I have a moment to read their actual inquiry, I make sure that my response is addressing everything that needs to be addressed. Just hit send. The vast majority of the time, I don't have to make major changes because it's already been done. But if there is anything unique, I make sure that I add that to it. Hit send, but it's already ready for me. If they don't respond, if it's crickets, then within a couple of days, they will automatically get a follow-up. I don't have to send that. That's just done. If there's no communication back and forth in email, that is the next step. If there's not any communication again, they're ghosting me, there's no response, a few days later, they'll get a final follow-up. And that one I try to give value. I try to say, hey, one, make sure you've received my emails. We'd love to sit down and visit with you, learn about you, etc. And here is a resource for how to choose an amazing wedding photographer. And I send them to an article, and this is the one and only article that I actually don't send them to my own website. I have tons of articles on my website, but this one I don't want them to feel that I'm trying to be tricky or anything. I send them to another article that's a very well written article on things that you should consider when hiring a wedding photographer. And I send that to them, and then 2 days later, if it's still crickets, they actually get a form that says, "We're sad to see you go. We haven't heard from you. We're sad to see you go. We'd love to work with you. And if you wouldn't mind sharing with us why you didn't respond, we'd love to hear." And I send them actual embedded form on the email. And a lot of people, they, for whatever reason, whether it's pricing or pricing is a very common reason for people to not be a good fit for us. But they will fill out that form, and it's an amazing resource. So now I ask them, what first drew you to us? Our aesthetic, our price point, our convenience, location, give them all these options. It's a simple 10-question form. And that's the very last thing they get. And not everyone, but maybe a quarter of the people that don't even meet with me, never respond to anything else, give me that information. So then I can take that and tweak it. If there is ever a response to any of these, that immediately gets moved from that flow and into another one where it's wonderful. We would love to meet with you. Here's our calendar. Here's this. And it's giving them other resources to schedule a meeting with us.
Even schedule a meeting? There's a calendar? They can schedule
absolutely.
a meeting?
Calendar.
I can't believe what you're saying.
And so far in all of this, the only thing that I had to do was that initial email. Everything else has been done for me.
I just can't believe this. Everything you just said would be so much work. Those are individual things that I do.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was going to hire a personal assistant or secretary or someone to help me with my business. And I, looking at the cost and looking at how that would work out, and if they would be, would they be working side by side with me? Would it be remote? And I'm considering all of these options. And I knew about automation to an extent, but I hadn't fully dove into it. And I think Dave Shea, who's a good friend of ours, I knew that he was heavily involved in automation and that he works with TAVA as well. And so I had a few conversations with him, and it just kind of kindled that curiosity underneath, like I think hopefully what I'm doing with you guys. Yeah. Just kindled that fire underneath me, that kind of curiosity. And then from there, I dove in and started, researching good automations and how to build that out. And that's just, one example. That is just initial inquiry.
Sure.
And that same extensive process exists throughout my total client experience. Now, of course, again, there are elements of that workflow or that client experience that need my personal touch that I absolutely would not put into automation. I want to build a deep relationship of trust with my clients, and that takes, typically personal time with them, getting to know them to some extent. But educational resources, things that I can just provide for my clients that, blog articles, for example, like we've written out probably 10 or so articles that are resources to our clients. They value them greatly because they help them during their planning process. And I don't need to personally sit down and remember to write that out and send that to them. I just need to have that built into it so that at the right time it's being sent to them. So I work my flow from the date they signed the contract to their wedding. I work it that direction, and then from their wedding backwards. So I go both directions so that it's catching because some engagements are 9 months, some are 12 months, whatever. You don't really know. So I work both directions. So as it's getting closer to the wedding, it's sending more things that are preparing for their wedding, and as they just signed, it's going that direction. It's sending resources like, this is an ideal timeline. I know you're probably starting to think a little bit about your timeline, and I know that can be a challenging task. Here's an ideal timeline with photography in mind for you to consider. That's massively beneficial, because if I'm the first one that can provide that to them, they're likely going to rely on that.
Yeah.
And
as opposed to a planner that doesn't think
a
about
planner
us
that's
at
not
all.
thinking about photography at all, or them, going on the knot and trying to find a resource there or something. You know what I'm saying? And there's other elements as well.
You don't get caught. It's funny. Beth has been educating me on being more cognizant of my hers and hims, and I've put my foot in my mouth many times in this world, especially when it comes to like brides and grooms, brides and brides, or like someone's name is Taylor, and am I overly concerned about that? Or like, how do you?
Yeah, that's a great. So my TAVA has several different ways that you can set that up. So in mine, there is a gender neutral way of setting it up, where it just says partner A, partner B is the token. And for me, for traditional couples, I will have the bride always as token A, and the groom always, as partner A, and the groom always as partner B. And that's just kind of my default. So that alleviates that issue.
Oh, I see.
Right, it's always going to be referencing
partner and partner.
It's going to distinguish the two. But if it is a same-sex couple, then it doesn't. It's not going to matter one way or the other. So I can.
We had to be mindful of this because we were sending out timeline, help reminders or things, and talking about, well, where's the groom getting ready? And it's like, whoops,
right.
So like, way to make questionnaires.
So if I built in a questionnaire that was doing bridal prep and groom prep, I would just always need to make sure that it's partner B for groom, partner A for bride. It's very simple. And
That's a good idea.
all you're doing is just assigning a
role,
a token, a role, or whatever. They call them tokens when you build them into email, so it recognizes them. So it's not too difficult. You just have to create a pattern and stick with it. If you start deviating, going back and forth, putting bride as B and groom as A, vice versa, and going back and forth, then you definitely run into that problem.
Yeah. I had no idea we'd be talking about
this. Me neither. It's fun, right?
Yeah, we have a lot to learn, Beth.
We have a lot to learn, honey.
So I would say, in closing, what do you love about wedding photography the most?
I love celebrating people.
Yeah.
Who they are in this very moment in their life, whatever that is. I love honoring and celebrating exactly where they are.
I think us too, Beth. I think I got into it for making great art and hopefully making money. And when that gets churning and working, you can look at me. When that gets churning and working,
I love connecting with like people that maybe I wouldn't be normally friends with.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden you find friendships with people that you could never imagine. They aren't like, maybe they're not like me, and
Right.
now we're like friends. We've connected on a whole nother level. And I don't know. I love stuff like that. Like Kristen and Rick, their wedding the other day. Like this bride is very different from me in personality and how she grew up, and her and I connected on a whole nother level. She just wrote this absolutely most incredible review ever. And if I felt like I could leave the same review about her as well,
Right.
It was very short, they booked this with 2 months to go before their wedding. The wedding was incredible. We haven't shown them a single photo, and they're writing these 4-paragraph reviews on Wedding Wire for us already.
That's so amazing, isn't it?
And I'm just
so good.
Yeah, it's oh my gosh, these are we sit in the car after a wedding, we're like, these are our clients. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. So I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Wow, I have to be talking to you more in life.
Let's do it.
We have to get coffee when we go through Denver, Beth.
Let's do it.
My sister's going to be moving to Denver.
Where at? What part? Denver proper or
Centennial? Is
Centennial? Yeah, that's
a place?
Just a suburb. Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like that's what she told me.
do it.
We're going to be coming
because
out, so we got to hook up,
We're
get
trying
these
to
kids
like
together.
we love national parks.
Yeah, let's go up to Rocky Mountain. I'll take you to some of those really cool spots. You guys can have a moment.
Or Jared could photograph us, Beth.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is really stacking up nicely.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on.
Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you should be able to search Jared Gant or JM Gant Photography, and it should be able to find me pretty easily that way.
Jared Michael.
Jared Merrill.
Merrill.
Kind of a
Merrill.
unique middle name, yeah?
That's unique.
Yeah.
Well, is that like M-E-I?
Merrill.
I
Kind of like the shoe brand, right? There's
Merrill Lynch is the bank, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, like
investment.
that, yeah.
Oh,
Shoes,
and
the
shoes,
bank,
Yeah, there's a shoe
yeah.
brand. Yeah, it was my grandma's maiden name.
Oh,
kind of random,
nice.
but
Oh,
we're
nice.
grasping at family names, and that
Yeah.
one's what stuck, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. It was a blast to have
I
you.
have a couple more questions.
Oh,
Oh, wow, Beth.
Just kidding.
Okay, I'm
How did-
rapping. I'm like closing.
I don't know,
The
they're
credits
kinda-
are rolling. The
they're-
music's playing.
oh, you can go.
Why? Yeah. Why did you name Evelyn, and Peter?
We liked kind of the what's it called, Elizabeth. And my wife uses these big words that sometimes I struggle with, just to be aware. But just the
Struggle with.
yeah, I really struggle with.
Yeah.
I try to say them to sound smart, but it doesn't
Rin
ever.
is
Me
fancy.
too.
It doesn't ever come out that way,
Right.
Nothing in particular. No family ties or anything to those names. Those were names that we just really loved. We felt they were classical names. The spelling of of Evelyn's is slightly different to match Bryn's. Her Bryn's spelled ends with an NNE, and so Evelyn's we did the NNE as
Oh,
well, so it
that's
had that little
nice.
match. But nothing. This really cool story. I wish I did. So Peter, no, I'm just kidding.
Just picked them. That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
After Peter Mackey.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
Ah.
but they're just good classic names. I feel like
They are
Good,
strong.
Leave it
beautiful,
George and a Henry.
Peter
Georgia.
Gant, like that's a strong,
Oh,
That's a
solid
good
name.
name.
Esquire or Dr. Peter Gant.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of
Those are
course.
just solid names. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And you want to know his middle name?
Yeah.
Asa.
Asa. We
Peter.
A-S-A?
Yeah.
Oh, my
We have-
girlfriend just had a baby, A-S-A.
Yeah, Peter,
Asa.
Peter Asa Gant.
That's good.
Pretty- he has a-
I've never heard of any other Asa.
Yeah,
Like that's,
it's a unique name.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to tell.
Good for
Janae.
you. All right, thanks for coming on, Joe. You're the best.
You are.
As always, folks.
Thank you.
Click the subscribe button. I think it's over here in this corner-ish area. Remember, Beth, I used to be saying the buttons underneath your butt on the
Yeah.
YouTubes. But yeah, subscribe to Seth and Beth. If you're in Denver, hire this man. As you can see, his depth of knowledge about the
You don't even
business.
have to be in Denver.
Yeah, just hire this guy.
70% of people that come to Colorado are not from Colorado to get married. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, yeah.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
Awesome. Visit SethandBeth.com if you want a subpar photographer from Jared Gant. No, I'm kidding. Yes. So go hire Jared and hire us at the same time. We'll both shoot your wedding. But thanks for joining us, Jared. You're incredible. Oh my gosh, my mind is completely blown. I can't move on with my day.
You have to I want you guys to do something real quick. While you guys were talking, I was thinking that
Go
you
on.
guys can do this. Okay, you both have music backgrounds.
Oh, no.
Seth, you can play like a really great beat on your lap.
This is not a good way to end it.
And Jared can sing. Do it. Just do it. What song? Like a Soundgarden.
No, I have to mic it up. It's all a thing, Beth.
No,
I mean,
just do it. Here, I can put my mic on your lap. And then just try it. Here, let me move this.
Beth, stop with this nonsense. What song are you into?
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys need like a new theme song for the intro.
Who do you sing like the most? Or did you?
Yeah, so it's kind of maybe embarrassing. I don't know. So AFI was actually kind of a big
I
inspiration.
don't even know who that is.
AFI? No? I
you
mean,
know?
everyone else in the world that's in the community will. So
What songs do they sing?
They're
What's a more famous one?
yeah, they probably wouldn't be super common, especially these days. This is early 2000s,
yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
I was thinking you were going to say something like a Linkin Park or something with like a two-singer
Yeah, I mean,
thingy.
Chester's someone who people have said I look like.
Yeah, you do,
Yeah,
I
people
think.
have said, especially
you
when
wear
I wear my
glasses.
glasses and stuff. Yeah, when I wear my
I see.
glasses, people say he's a doppelganger of mine. But no, I mean, AFI, the singer of AFI, I can't remember Dave something, I can't remember his name right now. But that was someone who my voice was often referenced to.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth, for that. We'll have to do that on the next show. Stay tuned.
Big plans part 2 will be coming.
Stay tuned. We have to interview Jared again and listen about an update and how we're doing on our system. So, all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Seth and Beth on YouTube. Love you guys. Appreciate it.